What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we're checking out a new Solar Titan build in Season of the Wish, and it just might be one of the strongest builds to take into Nightfalls, Grandmasters, and other endgame content this season. This build features one of the newly updated Titan exotics, the Peregrine Greaves. This is an exotic that had been all but forgotten about, but now in Season 23, this exotic's got a brand new bang, and it goes hard, like really hard. This exotic comes with the Peregrine Strike intrinsic trait, which provides a significant bonus to the damage applied by any airborne shoulder charge. When performing airborne shoulder charges against most any enemy, you'll receive a 225% increase to the base damage of that shoulder charge. But where this exotic is really going to excel is when you are facing tormentors, champions, and mini-bosses. When you shoulder charge these enemies, you'll receive a 1000% increase to the damage of your shoulder charge. That's right, 1000%. Like, holy shit. This exotic is giving you the power to instantly one-shot champions in legendary and master level content, which is absolutely absurd. And when you hit those champions and other high-ranking enemies, that shoulder charge energy is going to be instantly restored, allowing you to shoulder charge these big, beefy enemies over and over again. This is an uncanny level of increased damage, and it's going to make any shoulder charge substantially better against any enemy, but none more so than the Solar Hammer Strike, benefiting from Roaring Flames. Thanks to several seasonal artifact mods, solar weapons, and abilities are going to deal more damage this season, which is going to make a Solar Peregrine build even more powerful. I've talked about these mods in some other recent videos, but we are using Flint Striker, Kindling Trigger, and Rays of Precision, which are all designed to increase the damage and performance of our solar weapons. We're also using From Whence You Came, which gives a 5% increase to any ability damage against taken and scorn enemies, giving our Hammer Strike yet another increase in damage. Solo Operative will be used when in solo activities, as it will give a 15% increase to all ability and all weapon damage, making it a lot easier to solo many of the dungeons this season, and Grandmasters later on this season. But when we are in a team activity, we are going to be going with Heart of the Flame, which will increase our super damage when nearby allies. We're also using Revitalizing Blast, which is going to synergize perfectly with the increased shoulder charge damage that Peregrines provides. When we inflict solar ability damage onto a champion, that champion becomes weakened, causing them to take 15% additional damage. This causes Hammer Strike to deal a considerable amount of extra damage against these champions. So much so that even from 20 levels under, airborne Hammer Strikes are still able to instantly destroy a stunned champion. So let's break down these numbers a little more closely. As you can see against this unstoppable champion, a non-airborne shoulder charge without Roaring Flames inflicts around 33,000 points of damage without taking into account any Scorch. But then, when we shoulder charge this same champion with an airborne shoulder charge, even without the benefits of Roaring Flames, we apply over 220,000 points of damage, instantly ending this champion's existence. And that's not even the full extent of the damage that this build can put out. Since we are using the Roaring Flames aspect, any solar ability kills grants us stacks of Roaring Flames. This provides up to a 73% increase in the amount of damage that any of our abilities will deal. So this would have bumped that 225,000 points of damage up to around 380,000, which is absolutely insane. And what's even crazier about this is that we're not done stacking on damage bonuses. Along with Roaring Flames, we are using Soul Invictus. This creates sunspots when defeating enemies with solar abilities, or scorch damage. Sunspots apply damage and scorch to enemies that are caught within it, and they also grant us restoration. And while we're inside of a sunspot, we have a 100% bonus to the regeneration rate of our grenade and melee energies, allowing us to spam our overpowered hammer strike much more often. As far as fragments go, our main focus is to regenerate our abilities faster, so we're using Ember of Searing, which is going to grant bonus melee energy whenever we defeat scorched targets. This also creates fire sprites, which will grant us grenade energy. We're using Ember of Eruption so that when we cause enemies to ignite, which we'll do in several different ways, including our hammer strike, those ignitions will create a bigger blast, trapping more nearby enemies within it. We're also using Ember of Torches so that striking targets with a hammer strike will grant our weapons radiance, providing an extra 20% weapon damage. And lastly, we're using Ember of Ashes, which doubles the amount of scorch that gets applied to any target, which causes ignitions to trigger more frequently. Whether it's a champion, a tormentor, or just a group of rank and file enemies, nothing's going to be left standing after you've swooped in and executed that lethal hammer strike. To complement the use of Peregrines and to improve the damage that we're able to apply, we've added a shotgun with trench barrel into our loadout. Now typically I would recommend using a shotgun with 1-2 punch, but when you have shoulder charges that rely on your momentum, it's harder to pull off a shotgun before the shoulder charge. So instead, trench barrel will increase the damage of the shotgun after hitting an enemy with a melee, giving these shotguns a 50% increase in damage on their next 3 shots. And since those weapons will also have the benefit of radiance, we'll be able to dish out an extraordinary amount of damage out of these shotguns. We also want weapons with perks like Grave Robber, which refills the magazine after melee final blows, or Pugilist, which refills melee energy after weapon final blows. There are some select exotics that will really push this build to a whole nother level. The Monte Carlo deals a ton of damage with its bayonet mode, and it will help regenerate melee energy. The Traveler's Chosen sidearm is able to pierce barrier shields this season. It comes with Osmosis, which would turn it into a solar weapon, and it too is going to give you additional melee energy, as well as grenade, barricade, and super energy. And there's also the Tractor Cannon, which will really cause the Peregrines to put up some crazy levels of extra damage, since it inflicts a 30% weakening effect against enemies. When it comes to our choice in armor, we're still focused towards ability regeneration, so we're using the Siphon and Heavy-Handed mods in order to generate orbs. With Absolution, Invigoration, and Recuperation applied on our boots, orbs are going to give us melee energy, health recovery, and a small amount of energy to all of our abilities. Orbs are also going to provide us with armor charges, and with the Charged Up Chest mod, we'll have 4 total armor charges that can be active. We'll be using those armor charges to fuel melee kickstart, which is going to provide us with an instant burst of as much as 40% melee energy after performing a charged melee. We're also using Impact Induction to create extra grenade energy whenever using our hammer strike, and hands-on on our helmet, so that enemies defeated by hammer strike will generate bonus super energy. And we're also using the Outreach and Distribution mods on our class item, so that we can generate extra melee energy and extra energy to all of our abilities when casting our barricade. With the synergy that's getting created between our armor, our artifact, and our class tree, we're going to have rapid regeneration of not just our hammer strike, but of all of our overpowered abilities, giving us the power to decimate champions, bosses, and damn near everything else during Season of the Wish. And with that said, we have reached an end of today's Solar Titan build, featuring the Peregrine Greaves exotic, a perfect build to see you beasting through and soloing some of the toughest content this season. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the Peregrines and Solar Titans in Season of the Wish, so be sure to sound off in the comments below. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated and both really do help support the channel. I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone out there for all the tremendous support that you've given the channel here lately. We're just a little shy of 50,000 subscribers now, and that is all thanks to you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're a new Light Guardian, just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran, just looking for a new home, then be sure to check out the Discord link in the description below and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And if you need to make a quick copy of today's build, you can do so by getting the Destiny Item Manager link, which is also in the description. But until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy holidays and some happy hunting.